Okay, I think it's time for us to get started. It's my great pleasure to welcome everybody to the fourth and final webinar in our series Talk Together. Today we're going to be covering the really interesting topic of theory of mind development. So really looking forward to talking to you all about that. It's nice to see some names in the chat who we've seen before. Welcome back if you've joined us before. And if you're joining us for the first time, hi, it's great to have you here with us. So I'm going to first of all start by introducing myself. My name is Donna Sporandio and I'm a teacher of the deaf and a certified auditory verbal therapist. And I'll be joined today by my colleague Rebecca.
Hi everybody, my name's Rebecca Claridge. I'm a speech language pathologist and certified auditory verbal therapist, and looking forward to talking about one of Donna and my favourite topics today, theory of mind.
And I'd also like to ask Mr. Isai to give us a welcome from the Malaysian team, please.
Okay. Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Selamat kembali ke Medal Professional Webinar siri Talk Together yang keempat, iaitu yang terakhir lah. Kami daripada Medal Rehab Team mengalu-alukan kehadiran anda semua. Harap anda semua bersemangat dan bersedia untuk membuka minda anda untuk diisi. Ada perkataan minda di situ. Ya, hari ini kita akan belajar tentang bahasa minda. Tanpa berlengah, saya serahkan kembali kepada Donna. Terima kasih.
And we've also got other members of our team from Malaysia with us. So we welcome JC.
Hi everyone, good to see you again.
And LV.
Hello everyone.
And also Michelle.
Hi, good morning everyone.
So amongst our fantastic Malaysia team, we have a range of languages that are spoken. So today you will see that your microphones are muted as usual to keep background noise down, but you're very welcome to talk to us via chat. And our team has English, Malay and Mandarin speakers. So you're welcome to talk to us in any of those languages. And also we'll be asking you to contribute a little bit in chat as we go along. So again, you can do that in any of the languages that you speak. Okay, so let's get started thinking about theory of mind. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start off by looking at what is theory of mind, getting a really good description, getting a good understanding of what that actually means. Then we're going to discuss why that's important. Why is it that we need to know about this information? Then we're going to look at the different factors that contribute to delays in the development of theory of mind. And finally, we're going to talk about some ideas of how you can assist children in the development of theory of mind, and also to show you some great free resources that you will get at the end of the webinar. Now then, of course, we have to ask the question, why is it that we are a company that works with children with hearing loss, and yet we're talking about the development of theory of mind? Why is that? Well, that's because it has been shown in research that there are sometimes severe delays in the development of theory of mind in children with hearing loss. And so given that information, we believe that it's important to think about this in our intervention. In fact, as you can see there, the minimum average delay that's been reported is about 4 years. So that's really quite a big delay in the development of theory of mind for our children with hearing loss. So that's really why we decided to bring this topic to you and why we think it's important to have more information on it. So what do we mean by this term theory of mind? Theory of mind is not a term like theory of gravity, for example. That's not what it is. It's not theory in a scientific context. Theory of mind is a lay term that we use. What do we mean by it? So first of all, let's get you started. You can see in this picture, there are some children who are playing marbles. And the aim of marbles, of course, is to get all of those marbles into your own bag. When you've got them all for yourself, you're the winner. And you can see here that the little girl is about to try and get the very last marble. And when she gets it, she's the winner. So what I want you to do is have a look at this girl's face. Now tell me in chat, what do you think this girl is thinking? What's going on in her head? So type into chat what you think. Okay, I can see there someone said determined. Great.
Donna, would you like me to read out the chat?
Yes, please.
Okay, we got a lot of response. Some are saying, I'm going to win. I will get this. I will get the marble, planning her move. Yes, I'm winning, aiming to get the marble.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
That's the type of thing she's thinking, isn't it? Great job, everybody. Now I want you to do the same for this boy, the dark-haired boy. What do you think he's thinking? What's going on in his mind? Tell us again in chat what you think he's thinking. And Jessie, you can tell me as they arrive.
Sure. Oh, Elvi is saying, oh, I hope you will miss it. And Pepe is saying, will she get it? No, no.
That's definitely what he's thinking, isn't it? He really wants this.
Yeah.
He's a bit cross. I think perhaps that this girl is beating him in this game.
And Nuro is saying that I don't think she can make it. He's praying hard on it.
Oh, okay. yeah, absolutely. He's looking really worried and concerned and frowned and annoyed, isn't he? Now, it's interesting that as adults, we can look at this picture. This is just a two-dimensional drawing. That's all this is. It's not even a photograph of real people. But because we have well-developed theory of mind, we have very similar ideas about what's happening. What we're doing here is we're trying to read the mind of the little girl and the little boy. And you can see that as adults, we're able to do that quite easily. That's because we have developed our theory of mind skills across our lifetime. But this is not something that children are born able to do. So the term theory of mind was first coined by some researchers called Premack and Woodruff in the late 1970s. And actually they were studying chimpanzees and they wanted to see what's the essential difference between a chimpanzee and a human. What is it that makes humans so incredibly different to chimpanzees, which are one of our closest relatives? And they came up with this idea of theory of mind. That theory of mind is probably something uniquely human. And they described it this way: the understanding that each individual has their own mind with their own thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. And here's another important part, that people act according to what they think, believe, or feel. So this was when theory of mind was first discussed and identified. One of the key researchers and one of the key figures in this field is Simon Baron-Cohen, who you see on the screen there. Now, Simon Baron-Cohen gave this description of theory of mind. So I'll leave you for a moment to read that. I particularly like the last sentence in that definition. It's talking about the ability to reflect on your own mind, what happens in your own mind, and what happens in others' minds. Both of those things go together to give us theory of mind. What does it look like in action? Let's see some examples. So on the left here, you see a little boy who's got his report card from school. And as you can see, he's done very well. He's got an A+ on his report card. And our theory of mind statement, he knew his parents would be pleased. So this boy is able to read the minds of his parents. He's saying to himself, I did really well in my test, and I know that my parents will be pleased. And on the right is another example of hide and seek. The little boy saying, he thought they wouldn't look for him there. That's what we do when we're playing hide and seek. We try and read everyone else's minds and say, where can I hide where they won't look for me? So that's another good example of how we use theory of mind. It's also useful to look at what it looks like when children don't have the theory of mind aspects developed yet. So on the left here, you see a conversation between a father and a son over the telephone. So the father asks his boy, what are you doing, Denzel? And Denzel says, playing with this. Now, of course, the father doesn't know what this is because he can't see it. But Denzel yet doesn't have that understanding. He thinks that if he can see the train, his father can see the train. He hasn't yet got that good understanding of the idea that his father knows something that is different to what he knows. And some of you might have had experiences like that with young children where they do that. Then on the right's quite an appropriate one with the holiday season coming up. This boy's got a new present. So he opens up his box to see what's in his new present, and in it was socks. And the little boy's not very pleased about getting socks. But of course, as a child grows older or as an adult, we know that we would say something pleasant about our present anyway. We would say, oh, thank you very much. I really wanted socks. But this boy is quite young and he doesn't have that understanding yet. So he's just been really honest and said, oh, I didn't want socks. So that's a good example, I think, of why theory of mind is so important, because when it goes wrong, it socially can be quite problematic. And those pictures came from the Hannon website. So let's drill down a little bit further into this idea of theory of mind. So we can think about theory of mind as two separate parts, which are of course connected. So we think about affective theory of mind and cognitive theory of mind. So what we're doing here is we're splitting the idea into the emotional part and the beliefs and knowledge part. So affective theory of mind refers to emotions, the awareness of and the ability to infer emotions. So that's the awareness of our own emotions and the awareness of others' emotions and the ability to infer that. So the little boy with his socks was not yet able to infer that his grandmother who gave them to him would be offended. He can't do that yet. So affective theory of mind is all about the emotional side. Then we can think about cognitive theory of mind. The same kind of thing, the awareness of and ability to infer beliefs and knowledge. These are all parts of theory of mind, but it can be useful to think about them in both of those ways to make sure that in all our intervention, we're covering all of those aspects. Now, this is quite a fun thing that you can do on the internet after you've finished today. It's I was going to say it's a game. It's not really a game. It's actually a research project that this laboratory is carrying out. And what they're doing is they're asking people over the age of 18 years to go onto the website and to do this test. So in this test, you see 37 different pairs of eyes. You can see one on the screen there. And your job each time is to decide what is this person feeling based on their eyes alone? Humans are very, very good at knowing emotions through eyes. So this is just looking at the eyes. So in this example, you get to choose between terrified, upset, arrogant, and annoyed. What do you think? Type into chat what you think it might be. Can you watch it for me, Jessie, and let me know? Which one are you guys choosing?
Terrified,
Okay, yes.
upset. We have a lot of upset.
Okay. Yep, goody.
Yeah.
Usually show this picture, we get a combination of terrified and upset. Most people think upset usually. So I think that's probably the right answer. The only tricky part to doing this online is that you don't know the answer. You don't get given the answer. So you will, however, get given a score as to what your development of emotional understanding is, but we don't find out what every single one is. So a really fun thing to do. Now, I'd also like to show you this little video. This is a video from the Big Bang Theory, which is a program that I'm sure you've all watched. Now, I'm going to exit my screen because Rebecca has better internet coming in today than I do, and we're going to have a little look at this video. So in this video, I'm sure you've watched the Big Bang Theory, and the people on the Big Bang Theory are science nerds, aren't they? They're fabulously intelligent scientists, but they're not very good at social skills. And that's actually the main premise of what's funny about the whole of the Big Bang Theory. So in this little clip, it's Sheldon, who's probably the worst of them with his social skills. And Sheldon has been practicing his social skills. And he's talking to his girlfriend, and he's going to tell her that he's mastered the big three of the social skills. So I hope it's going to play for you okay. So let's have a look and see. Thanks, Rebecca.
When it comes to social skills, I've mastered the big three. There's the coy smile. There's the friendly chuckle. There's the vocalization of sympathy. Aww. That last one's tricky. I'm still working on it.
Thanks, Rebecca. So you can see it's funny. It's funny because Sheldon's just a little bit off how that should sound. When he does his smile, it doesn't look quite genuine, does it? And when he does his laugh, it sounds kind of odd. And his vocalization of sympathy, it's close to what we would do, but the tone of it is just not quite there. So that's really the whole premise behind the Big Bang Theory and why it's quite funny, why we enjoy it. So next time you're watching it, think some more about that part. Okay, so now we're going to turn our minds a little bit towards the part of theory of mind we call cognitive theory of mind. This is the part about beliefs and emotions. So what I'm going to do now is show you a couple of small clinical tests that are often done to assess a child's development of cognitive theory of mind, and particularly what we call contents false belief. So it's probably easiest for me to explain this to you, and then you'll start to see what we're thinking about when it comes to cognitive theory of mind. So this is a test that's often used, and it's called the Smarties test. So the adult says to the child, here's a box.
I'm sorry, Donna, we can't see the slide yet.
Okay, thanks. Okay. I'll try sharing that again. Thanks, JC. Okay, how's that going? Do you have it now?
Yes, we have it now.
You have it now. Fabulous. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to talk about this cognitive test that's testing cognitive false belief. So what happens in this test? First of all, the adult says, here is a box. What do you think's in this box? And the child will guess Smarties, or maybe they'll guess chocolates or lollies or something like that. Then we open the box and have a look to see what's actually inside it. There's pencils inside the box. And then we close up the box. Then we say to the child, Daddy has never seen inside this box. What will he think is in the box? And of course, the correct answer is Smarties. Up until the age of about 4 years, though, children can't answer that correctly. They think that because they know what's in the box, everybody else must know the same thing. So until the age of about 4 years, that test is, the children can't pass that test. Here's another example of a clinical test looking at cognitive theory of mind. This one's called the Sally-Ann test. So we have two little figures, two little dolls. In this case, one with yellow hair and one with brown hair, and they're playing with the ball. The girl with yellow hair hides the ball in the orange box. Then the girl with yellow hair goes away. So she's not looking, she can't see. And the girl with brown hair moves the ball into the green box. And then the yellow-haired girl comes back. And we ask the child, where will the girl look for the ball first? And of course, the correct answer is in the orange box. But again, until the age of about 4 years, children can't answer this. They think that they know where the ball is. It's shifted, it's in the green box. So they think that because they know, everybody else knows. And so the yellow-haired girl will also know where the ball is. So that test is typically passed about the age of 4 years. Now, I want you to think back for a moment to the information that we started with, that for children with hearing loss, sometimes their delay in the development of theory of mind can be up to 4 years. A skill such as this is hugely important when you go off to mainstream school and you have to manage amongst friends. So if we think that a child with hearing loss might be delayed by 4 years, they're going to spend the early years of their schooling without these really important skills that they need to be able to cope. So I'm going to turn over to Rebecca now to talk a little bit more about why this is so important. What do we use theory of mind for? Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, Rebecca.
Let's talk about why theory of mind is important. Firstly, theory of mind is important socially. We use our theory of mind skills to find people who like the same things that we do, and those people become our friends. And then we use our theory of mind skills to understand what our friends need from us, and that's how we maintain our friendships. We use theory of mind skills to understand why people behave in certain ways. You know, this year has been a really complicated one, and we've all had to dig deep into our theory of mind skills to understand the different ways that individuals have been responding to the risk and the reality of coronavirus. And it's through that understanding of other people that this helps us choose what we say and how we say it. So for example, if we see somebody in distress, then we will choose much softer language than if we're talking to somebody who appears kind of resilient and bold. If we think about that in terms of children, you know, sometimes you see a child go over to another child in a playground and comfort them when they're in distress. Well, that's theory of mind in action. Predicting how others react requires us to step out of ourselves and into the shoes of others. So if we might see that in children, for example, if a favourite toy gets broken, a sibling or a friend will understand and predict that the owner of that toy will be distressed. And this last point, that theory of mind is important socially to manage our own reactions to emotions. This is a really interesting point, isn't it? Because we talked a lot about this topic last week in our webinar on behaviour management. And we talked about the fact that actually children have trouble with this. All children have trouble managing their reactions to emotions, and more so for children with language delays because they don't have the language to express it. But we do know that over time, children do develop the skills to react more appropriately to their emotions. And thanks to emotion coaching, we now know how to help children along. We need our theory of mind skills in academic situations. So, for example, at school, to work in a group, children need to be able to think about how their contribution will be perceived by others. They need to recognise if they're being too pushy with their ideas, and they also need to respect other people's ideas. And they also need to understand that what the others in the group will think if they're actually doing nothing at all to contribute to the group project. In life, we all make inferences by gathering clues from what we see, hear, and feel. And children, even within the first couple of years at school, are required to make inferences from reading a text. So what that means is maybe they read it that a character is red in the face and is stomping their feet, and they need to be able to infer that that character is angry. So this requires more of that understanding behaviours that Pip talked about last week in the behaviour management webinar. The understanding of feelings and triggers for feelings and actions that happen as a result of feelings. So to seek clarification, actually what needs to happen first is the child needs to inspect their own thoughts. So they need to think about, oh yeah, okay, I actually don't understand everything there. And then they need to take the next step, which is to decide who and how to ask for clarification. The other side of that is providing clarification. So to do that, the child or all of us need to think about the person receiving the explanation and what I need to do to make it easier for that person to understand. So we might see that in children, they might explain something differently to a younger sibling than they do to an older sibling. To persuade or suggest, we need to be able to think about what parts of our ideas this person will really like and how to exaggerate those in my explanation. And finally, understanding and recognizing sarcasm. Well, this is not just something that you need at school, you need it socially, you need it at school, and you need it in the workplace. Not getting a sarcastic joke can leave children feeling left out. And not getting a sarcastic comment from a teacher can have children continuing to work in entirely the wrong way. You know, you can imagine if a child is taking their time really deliberating over finishing a task and a teacher said something like, oh no, you've got all the time in the world to finish that. The child will continue if they don't understand sarcasm. The problem with sarcasm is that the meaning of it is carried on the tone. It's not in the literal meaning of the words. So for children with hearing loss, even if they've got good access to the sound, they might still be comprehending the literal meaning of the words and not perceiving this meaning that is carried on the tone. And finally, we need our theory of mind skills in the workplace to understand what to say and not to say about ourselves to get that job or to get in a job interview. And we need to be able to predict what managers or clients want and give it to them, even if it's different from what we think would be good. We need to be able to recognize deception or a lie. Perhaps we can recognize when a colleague is lying about completing a piece of work. And we need to know when to pretend, maybe pretend that we don't know that a colleague is lying. And just like at school, we need to use our theory of mind skills to contribute and collaborate in a team on a group project. So now I've got a question for you. I want you to think about people you know, friends or colleagues, and tell me if you know somebody like this. You can chat yes in the chat box. If you know somebody who you always feel comfortable around, this person always gives really appropriate gifts, perfect gifts. Maybe this person is an excellent teacher. This person probably waits patiently in queues. And maybe this person organises social outings, is kind of the social glue of your group. Jessie, have we got anybody typing yes? I hope people know yes. We've got a couple. We've got Pepe is saying yes, she knows somebody like this.
Yeah.
So only 2 people know somebody like this. Well, you're very lucky, because I've described somebody who has well-developed theory of mind skills, and I hope all of you have somebody like that in your life. The point about theory of mind is that it's not a finite skill. We don't go, oh, phew, I've developed my theory of mind. Theory of mind is something that we continue to develop over our whole life. So, Donna, you're going to be talking about factors that contribute to delays in theory of mind.
Thanks, Rebecca. Yes, so now we want to turn our minds to how we can make this better for children with hearing loss. How is it that we can work with children and improve this situation? I hope already that you see why we think this is so important. So in order to work with children and to intervene and to help them, it's useful if we can figure out what it is that's causing this delay. Why is it that a child with hearing loss is sometimes delayed in their development of theory of mind? We know that children with autism are delayed in the development of theory of mind. That's partly what it is to be autistic. However, a child with hearing loss, it's probably that there are different things that cause those delays. So what is it that's causing this delay? Well, I'm sorry, but the short answer is we actually don't really know. At this stage, we really don't know exactly why it is that these delays happen with children with hearing loss. But we can look at the research to get some clues to at least make some common sense guesses as to what's going on. So the first thing that people have talked about, which seems to make sense, is language skills. And yes, the research has shown us that language development is closely correlated with theory of mind development. Language development goes up, theory of mind development goes up, and the other way around. Of course, we're not quite sure what's causing what, but there is a correlation there. And that correlation has been found in typically developing children, in children with autism, in children with specific language impairment, and in deaf children, children with hearing loss. So there's a big clue there. It's likely that language development is having a big impact. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the specific type of language that we think might be involved. So we can talk at this stage about what we call mental state language. These are words that describe the mental state. They are words that describe what is happening inside a person's head, inside your own head, or inside someone else's head. Now, these words are perhaps difficult to learn. They're not visible. You can't point to this. You can't show someone what it is because it's happening inside someone's head where it's invisible. Also, mental states are independent of the real world. We can believe something that is simply not true. So our mental states can be very different to what is true. They can be different to what we've seen. So this also makes this very complex. Also for ourselves, our own mental states are completely independent of what other people's mental states are. So for me to learn about the mental state of someone else, my own mental state is probably not particularly helpful. So all of these things together go to make a very complex situation in developing mental state language. What do we mean by mental state language? So here are some ideas. Believe, guess. You see, these are words that are happening in the mental state inside someone's mind. Consider, want. Okay, it's your turn now to take over. I want you to do some thinking about these words. Tell us in chat some ideas that you have of these, of mental state language. Let's have a look and see what we get.
So I'm
What
going
do we
to
see?
read. Yeah, I see feel, remember, opinion, conquer, like.
Oh,
Think,
yep. So, sorry, what was that one?
think, understand, assume, love.
Fabulous. All great examples. And as we said, these are not things you can point to. You can't show someone think. You can't show someone assume. You can't point to love. So these are difficult concepts. Here's some more examples. Think, we had that one. Like. Want and like are quite early words that children, typically developing children know. Know. Remember, someone said remember. Wonder. Imagine. So these are all examples of mental state language. Now, this is an important thing to remember. I know this is quite a busy slide, but let's have a look at it. So on one side, the research is telling us that increased use of mental state language accelerates theory of mind development, at least in children with typical hearing. So what that's saying is if the people around the child use these words a lot, it helps the child to develop that understanding. The other side of this slide tells us that a diagnosis of deafness is associated with the reduction in parental use of mental state language. So when parents find out that their child is deaf, for at least some of those parents, they reduce the amount of mental state language that they use. So we've got a kind of double problem here. We know that using this language a lot is a very helpful thing to do, but we know that following diagnosis of deafness, parents reduce how much mental state language they use. I'm just going to make another suggestion there too, that sometimes also therapists reduce the amount of mental state language that they use. It's very much easier, isn't it, to teach a concept like elephant, where you can point to it and describe it and have a look at one in a book and get a toy elephant and maybe go to the zoo and see an elephant. It's kind of easier to teach than a concept like remember. So I think sometimes as therapists, we have to look inwards as well and say, are we making sure that we are addressing these issues enough? Are we using enough mental state language in our intervention? It's also been suggested that actually hearing, just a reduced level of hearing, might also be contributing to these delays. For example, it's more difficult to hear at distance. Even the very best fitted technology doesn't do quite as good a job as normal hearing at hearing at distance. And sometimes the kinds of discussions about mental state things don't happen directly in front of a child. For example, a father might say to the mother, "Oh, I haven't heard from grandma today. I'm a little bit worried about her. I might pop around and see that she's okay." Now, the mother and the father have that discussion, perhaps on the other side of the room from the child with hearing loss. A child with normal hearing can overhear that and learn from that discussion. They know where their father's gone. They know what he's worried about. It might also be that just hearing subtle tones of voice might affect these children. So do you remember Sheldon and his attempt to say a sympathetic tone? He was just a little bit off, but it sounded really wrong. It might be that the ability to hear those very subtle tones is also a barrier to understanding. So, of course, as in everything else we've said, we need to get the best hearing technology to children as soon as we can. So we're very excited to be able to tell you some more about the new Sonnet 2 processor that has been released in Malaysia. So we're just going to show you a short video about that. I'm going to ask Rebecca again to show us that. So I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll have just a short look at this new technology and some of its features. Thanks, Rebecca.
Speaking of children, Sonnet 2 is designed to deliver the highest level of child safety. It's tamper-proof right out of the box, and it has a locking battery cover, the durable coil cable locks on both sides, and with the DL coil link check, you can immediately confirm that Sonnet 2 is connected to the implant.
What else is built into Sonnet 2?
Well, it's for sure made for everyday life, so it's designed to handle rain, sweat.
What about swimming with Sonnet 2?
For swimming, we have the waterwear cover, and you can jump in the pool or swim in the ocean.
And how do you change settings on Sonnet 2?
Well, that's the great thing about Sonnet 2. You won't need to worry about changing any settings anymore. Sonnet 2 uses Automatic Sound Management 3.0 to adapt to changing listening environments. This means you won't need to change settings when your surroundings change.
Like walking into a busy restaurant or going outside on a windy day.
Exactly. But it also helps cut out annoying background noises, like a constant fan noise or a sudden loud sound.
What if I want to change settings manually?
No problem. Of course, you can also have full control with the new Fientino Echo. It's a compact, easy-to-use remote control with a built-in display. The Fientino Echo is bidirectional. It allows you to see your current settings, including program, volume, connectivity, and it even has a low battery indicator right on the display. And that's an e-paper display, meaning it's easy to read even in bright sunlight.
Looks great, but what about users who don't want to carry a remote?
Well, I was expecting that question. For these users, we do have our Audio Key app, where you can control your Sonnet 2 user settings with iPhone or Android.
That will be very practical. Is there anything else that Audio Key does?
For sure. What's really exciting is the Guardian role. This unique feature lets you set multiple users' profiles for controlling one processor and vice versa. For example, as a parent, I could have full control over my child's audio processor, and you can easily control multiple audio processors from one Audio Key app only. If you want to be in the observer role, which provides you info on the listening state of the processor, you would just click here. So I could manage 2 children from one app, for example, or as a teacher, I could have an observer role for multiple students at the same time. but I could also set up custom controls for a guardian, like another parent or a sibling. Or I could even set up simple controls for a child to manage their own processor at school or on the go. This gives parents so much flexibility and security managing their child's audio processor with the app. That's awesome.
That sounds very practical for parents and caretakers. Is there anything else in the Audio Key app?
There is. We have also added, for example, the Find My Processor functionality. It allows you to see where you last connected your Sonnet 2 to your phone. And we also have added My Stats, which gives you an overview of usage information from Sonnet 2, like which program you used or the daily usage time. And with Sonnet 2, we have even more powerful data logging. It can measure actual wearing time, input sound levels, or the listening environments. This detailed data will be displayed in our new Maestro 8 software.
Sounds good. But now the question on everyone's mind. Can I stream phone calls and music to my Sonnet 2?
Yes, there is one piece I didn't show you yet, the audio link. It allows you to stream phone calls right to your Sonnet 2. You can also connect to your favorite music or stream high-quality sound from your TV or tablet. But that's not all. AudioLink has a built-in microphone, so you can use it as a remote microphone too. This can really be helpful in busy meetings or for a clear sound in a classroom setting, for example.
Okay, thanks for that, Rebecca. So I think you can see that there are many, many features in this new processor that are going to be really helpful in the development of theory of mind. So first, one of the features that Daniela talked about in there was adaptive intelligence. This idea that the processor is going to automatically work with the sound it receives to give the child the clearest signal of speech. So this device is excellent for listening in challenging environments. And let's face it, homes, schools, preschools are challenging environments often. There are many siblings, there are many children in a school environment, and it is difficult to hear. But we can see that for the development of theory of mind, it's really important that the child has the best opportunity to hear what's happening around them, what people are saying. You'll notice Daniela also mentioned the use of the audio link as a remote microphone. So this can be really useful. Rebecca spoke to you earlier about the idea of managing in a group setting at school. So the audio link could be placed, for example, on the table in which the children are sitting as a group, so that the child with hearing loss and a Sonnet 2 has the best chance to pick that up. Okay, so let's talk some more about how we can intervene to make things better. And we're going to describe 4 specific theory of mind skills. So Rebecca's going to get us started with the first skill. Thanks, Rebecca.
Rebecca, you are muted.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so for each one of these skills we're going to talk about, we're also going to share a resource with you and give you some ideas of how to use it. So given that Donna presented that research, very clear research that shows that when parents receive that diagnosis that their child has a hearing impairment, automatically there is this reduction in the use of mental state vocabulary. So we're going to use this as our first and really important intervention goal. This piece of research published in 2014, I think is something really useful we can use in our practice. So this research was survey research of parents in 4 different countries, and they gave in Italy, Germany, English-speaking countries, and in France. And they gave the parents a questionnaire, a checklist of 78 mental state words, and they wanted them to tick off which ones their children were using. Now, the interesting thing is that the children were only toddlers between 2.5 and 32 months of age, so very young children. And what I like about this research is that it has categorized the words for us. So when we're trying to identify some therapy targets, we don't have to think, oh, mental state words, what are they? What are they? We can think about these categories and target words within these categories. Now, while I've got this screen up, I'd encourage you to take a photograph if you have got that opportunity with your phone handy. There is a complete list of the 78 words in the research, and the reference is there. But these ones on the slide, you might like to either remember or photograph, because you might need some of those in a few moments when we do an activity together. So thinking about the categories and trying to target words within each of those categories. I'm not going to read them all out for you. You've got the list there. So what can we encourage families to do? So here's some tips for families. Firstly, to enjoy frequent conversations. So encouraging families to talk about events coming up and what people might do and what they might think and feel. So it's very exciting because we've got a birthday party for your cousin on the weekend. I bet your cousin's very excited about that. And then when the event is over, talk about it and remember what people did, what they thought, and how they felt. We're going to encourage parents to what we call lift the lid on their thinking. So that just means say it out loud, name the mental states as they are happening. Be the emotional commentator for yourself and for your child. Oh, I'm so annoyed, I can't find my keys. Shining the light just means noticing behavior. Shining light on thinking means when you notice the child's behavior and couple it with the facial expression. And this is your moment to be the child's emotion coach. So helping your child connect their feelings with their behavior. Matching your thoughts just means that using that technique of same thinking place. So noticing what your child is thinking about and giving them the words to match that. That's one of our important key strategies that we covered in our first webinar series called Talk at Home. And using daily routines. So this is where we can use every opportunity throughout the day to focus on thoughts and feelings and beliefs. So it might be something like, oh, we need to tidy up quickly because grandma's coming. Oh, grandma doesn't like toys on the floor. Oh, she'd be disappointed if she saw toys on the floor. Let's pick everything up. Now, we have a free resource. Here's your first free resource. So here we're going to, this is a little slide deck, and you might have seen some of the slide decks if you attended our previous webinars. The slide deck is a simply animated PowerPoint, and you can use it on a laptop, you can use it on a tablet or on a phone. If you don't want to use it on an electronic device, you can print it and have a hard copy version. So we are going to demonstrate how you would use this resource to focus on mental state vocabulary, particularly cognitive mental state words. So if you've taken a photograph from that slide a few slides ago from the Kristen research, you'll remember that cognitive mental state words are ones like think and remember and guess. So we have this resource available for you in Malaysia in 3 languages because you're also brilliantly multilingual. And I want to know from you which language you would like us to demonstrate in. We're ready for all 3, so we want to see which one you'd prefer. So we're going to launch a poll and get your opinion on which one you would most like to hear. So Mr. Wu, can you launch the poll for us? Here we go. So just click in the box of which language you would like us to present the story, and you're going to have access to all three of them, the English, the Malay and the Mandarin. But today we're just going to show you one and how you would use it to highlight cognitive, mental state vocabulary. I'm hoping we've got some responses coming in there, Mr. Wu. And we'll just
Rebecca,
give you a
is this because we actually can't read their minds?
But yes, this is true. We cannot read their minds. I'd do a better job if we were in person, Donna. I'd be able to tell. But because we can't see the audience, it's very difficult for us to guess which language they would prefer. So let's see the results. Oh, it's a very clear winner with Malay standing out with 57%. So I think we have Elvie is going to demonstrate for us. So you can close the poll, Mr. Wu, and thank you very much for managing the poll. And now I'm going to click on the Malay for you, Elvie, and you're going to demonstrate how to use it to model those cognitive mental state words.
Okay. Cuba burung dengar. Cuba burung dengar. Bunyi apa itu? Saya tertanya-tanya, bunyi apakah itu? Ia buat bunyi biar saya teka. Ia boleh jadi seorang budak sedang buat bunyi masa pemeriksaan doktor. Jom kita tengok. Oh, saya salah. Itu kapal terbang sedang terbang di awan.
Oops, sorry, I raced ahead there.
Okay, so yeah, next slide. Cuba burung dengar. Shh. Bunyi apa itu? Okey, sekarang ialah giliran anda semua untuk teka. So, mungkin anda pernah baca buku ni dan anda ingat, tapi kalau anda tak pernah baca tak apa, kita akan cuba teka juga. Okey? So, tuliskan apa yang anda fikir dalam chat dan jangan risau kalau jawapan anda salah atau betul, sebab membuat kesalahan itu ialah satu cara untuk kita nak tunjukkan kepada budak-budak yang bukan semua tekaan yang kita buat selalunya tepat dan ianya okey. So now tulis jawapan anda dalam chat, and Michelle, can you help me to monitor the chat? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. We got two answers. They said baby tidur, bayi sedang tidur.
Okay.
Padi nak buang air kecil.
Alright.
Good answer. And then bunyi air. So they got three answers.
Okay.
One is they said the baby is sleeping. The other one is some child is going to toilet. Yeah, and cikgu minta murid senyap di dalam kelas. So their one answer said, the teacher asked the student to be quiet in the class. Yeah.
Okay, so I shall reveal the answer now. Okay, jom kita tengok bunyi apa itu. It's a fish. Itu ikan. Ikan melompat dalam kolam. Okay.
Well done. I understood most of that. And what I could tell, Elvie, is that I could really hear you acoustically highlighting some of the words. And I'm assuming they were those cognitive mental state verbs. So it's just putting a bit of a flip on the way we'd read the story so that those mental state words jump out, leap out acoustically. Thanks for that demonstration. So now we'd like to let you have a go at using these mental state words. So here we have a lovely sequence of pictures that was drawn by a parent in a parent workshop that was working on building narrative skills. I'm going to show you how you might use mental state vocabulary to talk about this picture here, and then you can use any of these pictures as a prop to help you write a sentence, just a short sentence that has got one of those mental state verbs in it, or mental state words. So this one might sound something like, I think this looks just like dinner last night, or I know you love chicken. So away you go in chat and use a mental state verb and just use one of these pictures as a simple prop. And JC, you're going to help me with the chat there?
Yeah, sure. I guess there is pumpkin soup in the pot. I wonder what you cook for dinner. And Christine is saying, I feel someone is hungry. I think the pot is extremely hot. I think this soup is going to taste good.
Fabulous. I really like all of those suggestions, and it's easy to think about these mental state words when you're putting that I and then following it with one of those verbs. Great examples, everyone. Very impressive use of cognitive mental state verbs. Okay, Donna, over to you to talk about emotion words. Oh, you're muted.
In our second skill, we're going to be thinking more about the affective theory of mind, so the emotional side of things. So just as in the slide that you saw from Rebecca, here are some ideas about emotion words. The thing I really like about this slide, though, is it's giving you the progression through the development of these for children. So if you see at the top there, emotions like happy, scared, mad, sad, they're quite simple emotions. It's a simple thing to feel happy about something. It's quite simple to feel mad. It's something that we feel it within ourselves. It's a kind of a simple emotion, and so it's not surprising that children learn those first. Then you see as time goes on, children start to learn emotion words such as surprised or frightened. This is when children have, it's a little bit more complex because the child has had a thought in their mind, but that didn't happen, and they got a surprise when something different happened. So you can see that the complexity of the thinking is affecting the ability to understand and use these words. So just as Rebecca did before, I'm going to pause for a moment. I thought you might like to take a photograph of those. Again, I think it's really useful for us in our intervention to know the stages at which children use those words. We know then we can have a look, do they know the early ones? Do they know the next ones? And in that way, we're being appropriate in what we teach. Okay, so what are we going to talk to families about? Just as Rebecca said, we're going to get them to use these words a lot. We just have to get these emotion words at the front of their mind so that parents remember to use them a lot. We want parents to describe their own emotions and their children's emotions, but also remember to include what is it that made that emotion happen? What was the trigger for that emotion? For example, it might be that the child's feeling really happy. Oh, you're so happy. You look happy that you got a new truck to play with. So as well as the emotion, we talk about what it is that led to that emotion happening. We're going to talk about those specific vocabulary words, and we've given you a good list there that you can work on. Make sure that we use the right word at the right time. So for children, it's important that, particularly in the early stages, that we match our facial expression with the feeling. So, oh, well done. You did a great job of that. I like that. Oh no. Oh, he fell over. Oh, he's sore. Oh, he's so sad. Oh, look at him feeling sad. So this helps children to understand how that emotion goes. Gives children the ability to explain how they feel, but also why they feel it. So remember not just the emotion, but whatever it was that triggered that emotion as well. So now for our next free resource. This is a resource, it's a game that you can use to help develop mental state emotion words. So what you're going to get is you're going to get what you see on the screen there, the feelings game. So you need to print out 2 copies of this. Then 1 copy you're going to cut into little cards. So you've got your board and you've got your little cards that match. Then you take your cards and place them face down. Now this game is great because there are 3 different levels that you can play it at. So you can judge your child's understanding and play this appropriately. So at level 1 is a bit more simple. So we simply take turns at taking the card. We look at our card and we talk about the feeling. Oh, wow, he looks happy. But remember, we also talk about what might trigger that feeling. Oh, he looks happy. Grandpop's coming to stay. Remember to try and use triggers that are real for that particular child. So whatever it is that does make that child happy, talk about that. That will help make that link for the child between what's abstract and what's real. So we talk about the feeling, talk about what might trigger it, then have a look at the card. Then we simply find the match on the board and pop your card on the board. Now, once your board's all filled with all of these emotion words, then you can just use it like a board game, roll a dice, move along, gives you another chance to talk about the emotions on the board. Okay, LV's going to describe for us how we might do that at the next level in Malay.
Okay, so untuk tahap yang kedua, kita akan tambahkan kesukaran game ni. So, kita pertama-tama sama juga macam level 1, kita akan ambil giliran untuk ambil kad and then kita akan terangkan ciri-ciri muka yang ada dalam kad. So, contohnya, oh wow, besarnya senyuman dia. Mata dia besarnya dia buka. Okay, and then kita cakap tentang perasaan yang mencetuskan, peristiwa yang mencetuskan perasaan tersebut. So contoh, kita boleh kata, saya rasa mungkin sebab dia dapat jentera tolak yang baru. Then orang yang bermain bersama akan membuat tekaan. Perasaan apa yang dalam kad tu. Okay, dan akhir sekali kita akan padankan gambar yang kita pegang tadi tu dengan yang dalam kad, yang dekat board game. Okay, so untuk tahap yang ketiga, dia akan jadi lagi susah sebab kita, okay, mula-mula kita akan ambil giliran main dengan kad tu. Lepas tu kita hanya akan cakap tentang apa yang mencetuskan perasaan tersebut. So kita boleh kata, aha, budak lelaki tu dia dapat jentera tolak baru. Contoh. Lepas tu orang lain akan teka dan akhir sekali kita akan cari padanan gambar juga.
Great, thanks, Selvi. Okay, now it's your turn again, everybody. So here's a picture of a mother and a child. Imagine that you're going to coach the mother to use some emotion words. What are some emotion words she could use? What are some statements that she could say as she's talking to her boy about what's happening? So it's your turn to think of how you can get some emotion words, how you could coach this mother. What could you coach her to say? Type into chat for us.
So I will read the chat. From New Africa, she said, sheep is happy today. Okay, see whether got another answer. You like the sheep, and you? Sheep surprising himself in the mirror.
Those are all great ideas. Thanks, Michelle. Yep, really beautiful ideas.
Yeah.
So you can see how you get used to trying to put these words onto different actions. It can be with anything. It's not any specific activity. It's just the way that you use it is how it works. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Rebecca and she's going to talk to us about the next skill.
Okay, so this next skill is all about understanding likes and dislikes. And this is how we learn that different people have different desires and different wants. So as we interact with the world around us, all of us have spontaneous positive reactions and spontaneous negative reactions to things around us. So these experiences might be people or events or objects or food, anything like this. And the positive ones, of course, turn into our likes, and the negative ones, of course, turn into our dislikes. And developing that understanding that everybody has different likes and dislikes is important for helping children to understand and develop their own preferences, and also respecting the preferences of others. So here's some tips for families on how to develop this understanding of likes and dislikes. Donna talked a bit about overhearing and how the Sonnet 2 does have some features that really can help children hear the best that they possibly can, but overhearing is always going to be a challenge for any child using hearing technology. What is exactly overhearing? So overhearing is the act of listening in when the speaker is unaware, or listening in to when the speaker is directing their conversation to somebody else. The development of overhearing in children with typical hearing is usually spontaneous, and it's mostly self-taught. So when we make this as an intervention goal, it's a little bit artificial, because we are teaching children to attend to something that would spontaneously develop otherwise. But the ways we can do it, we can call attention to discussions. That is, if it's appropriate that a child listen to it. And if a child with typical hearing can hear that discussion, then it is appropriate for the child who's using hearing technology to have their attention called to it. And maybe we need to recount that conversation. We're going to listen out for conversations when people are talking about what they like and what they don't like. We can commentate about negotiations. So if we hear peers or siblings having a conversation or argument about their preferred TV show or their preference of takeaway food, something like that, we're going to relay that to the child using hearing technology so that they can understand the gist of people liking different things and how to go about expressing your likes and dislikes. We can retell a conversation with a focus on individual preferences. So maybe we can even find this in books, and we can comment on the food choices of particular characters in the book. We're going to comment when we notice a behaviour that shows that somebody likes it. So maybe at school, you could comment that, oh, Peter always goes straight to the book corner when he comes into the room. He must really like books. So in this way, we're teaching the child to interpret that action actually comes from this preference, understanding the likes. And finally, we're going to discuss gift buying. So we're going to encourage families to take their children shopping for gifts for other family members. You know, we're going to buy Papa a present for his birthday. What do you think? You can go and choose something, and then when the child comes back and they've got the rescue hero, that's your teaching moment. Every child does that because that's what they want, but it's showing you that they're not thinking about the likes and dislikes of the person who is going to receive the gift. So we're going to take that, we're going to say, you know what, you like that rescue hero, but Dad does not like rescue heroes. We need to think about what Dad likes when we choose a present for him. So here we have a free resource for you to use to work on talking about likes, dislikes, and preferences. Over to you, JC.
Thank you, Rebecca. We can use this resource to talk about likes and dislikes. Here's how we can do it. I might say, ooh, I love watermelon. Let's put this on my plate. Yummy, yummy. Ew, I don't like cheese. Don't put it in my plate. Go away, cheese. Then I can have a plate of food, my favorite food on the plate. We can make this activity even more fun by making a plate for someone who is not with us today. Let's say we make a plate of food for Grandma. I don't know what Grandma likes. Maybe we can give her a call and ask her. Let's give her a call. Over back to you, Rebecca.
Okay, thanks. That was fabulous and a really simple activity, but a great way of developing that vocabulary and the concept of likes and dislikes. Thanks, Jessie. Another great way of talking about different people and things that they like is talking about favorites. Everyone's got their favorite things. And actually, I shared this photograph because it's one of my favorite photographs on our Medel Global Instagram handle. I really like it because actually it's not about the baby, it's about the baby's mother, whose name is Jessica. And she shared how happy she is with her cochlear implants because she can hear her little baby making big noises and little noises. So that's my favorite photograph on Instagram. Now it's your turn to share something about favorites. I'm going to show you in a minute a slide with all the Sonnet 2 coil covers, and you're going to type in chat which one is your favorite coil cover, and look at all the ones you have to choose from. Type in chat, which is your favorite? If you can't read the names, don't worry, just describe it. Oh, there's some answers coming in. And I've lost track of who's helping me.
I read it for you, Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I can see that some says pirate. Michelle says green monster. Captain Choice. Donna said zebra. Jessie said watercolor.
Oh, look at them all. And we've got Princess and Kitten and Coral Melody. And you know what the funny thing about that is? Look at that. If we go through the chat, no one has chosen the same one. Isn't that fabulous that we all have different favorites? A really great learning experience there. All right, over to you, Donna, for our last intervention point. Muted.
Interesting. Everybody likes different things. Yeah, that was. Okay, so our last skill we're going to think about today, we could call, you'll sometimes see written as knowledge access. And this is an important skill for children in developing their theory of mind. This is the understanding of who knows what. Do you remember back to those tasks I showed you where there was Smarties? But actually in the box was pencils, and we asked the child what would another person think. This is attached to all of that. The idea of who knows what is important. Okay, so get ready on the chat again. I want you to guess for me. Oh, there's a nice mental state word, guess. It's your turn to guess. What do you think is in the basket? Okay, let's see. What do you think? Tell me what's happening,
So
Michelle.
we got egg, rabbit, empty,
Oh,
bread, fruits. Oh, Easter egg, fruits. A lot of fruits here. Flowers, chocolate. We got insects.
I think everybody's feeling hungry by the sound of it.
Yeah, it's lunchtime.
Lunchtime, I guess. Yeah, people are starting to feel hungry. Okay, now Rebecca, I'm going to ask you to cover your eyes so you can't see. Okay, Rebecca, close your eyes.
Okay, I've covered my eyes and I'm not going to look. I'm not looking.
Okay, right. Everybody else we're watching? Aha. Okay, Rebecca, open your eyes. Do you know what's in the basket?
No, I don't know what's in the, I didn't look. I couldn't see.
Ah, Rebecca doesn't know what's in the basket because she didn't see. I know what's in the basket because I saw it. It's a butterfly. And you guys know what's in the basket because you saw it too. So this is a way that we can use something like that to explain it to a child. Really, you'll notice I'm highlighting those mental state words. What did you think was in the basket? Rebecca doesn't know. So we highlight those mental state words to help children with their understanding. So understanding who knows what. How can we help with this? Well, we could talk about past experiences. It might be, for example, that we get parents to come in and tell us something that's happened. Maybe the child's had a birthday. So the parent could come in and help the child to tell us about their birthday. Oh, tell Donna about your birthday. Donna, do you know who came to the birthday? No, I don't know. I wasn't there. Oh, you'll have to tell me. I don't know. I didn't see it. And then the child can tell me, I see. Oh, now I know who came to the birthday. These are all ways that we can use experiences, just as we would encourage children to tell us about what's happening in their world, but we're adding into it some of these mental state words and some of these skills that we're teaching you about. We can also talk about things that are coming up. I wonder who we will see at school today. I wonder. Maybe I think we will see John. What do you think? So we use all these mental state words to talk about what's coming up. What do we know and what don't we know? It's a great chance to talk about theory of mind, things like misunderstandings, tricks, lies, secrets. Those are great things to talk to children about, and also be aware that there is a lot of theory of mind in jokes and humor. So remember that when you're talking to your child about those. Using books is a great way of developing theory of mind. So as well as reading the book, we're going to talk about the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs of the characters in the stories. Your job is to watch out for those theory of mind themes in books, books that have got secrets and mistakes and surprises in them. We can use a story that we know and we can retell it from another perspective. For example, if it's a fairy tale about the little pigs and the wolf, what does that look like from the wolf's perspective? We can use lift the flap books. Here's a little one. And we've got a little flap here. What's behind here? I know. I've seen it before. Do you know what's behind here? Mummy, do you know what's behind here? No, she's going to say, I don't know. Well, I know because I've seen it before. It's the gingerbread man. So lift the flap books are great opportunities to get this idea of who knows what. Books without words are great fun. Books Without Words will encourage you, you'll find, to talk about theory of mind, to talk about mental state words. For older children, remember to spend lots of time talking about the characters. Maybe the character was embarrassed about something that happened in the book. Maybe the character is pretending an emotion that they don't really feel. So books are absolutely packed with ways of talking about theory of mind, and particularly who knows what. Fairy tales and folk tales often contain lots of great ideas for theory of mind discussions. So, Mr. Esai, I wonder if you would share a fairy tale with us from the Malay culture and tell us how you might be able to use that to develop theory of mind.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember about any fairy tales, but we have some story like Sang Kancil and Sang Buaya. Really interesting. So in Malay, Sang Kancil teringin nak makan buah. So she thinks how to tipu, how to make the Sang Buaya understand that how to cheat Sang Buaya. So Sang Buaya, that is from the point of view of Sang Kancil. She wants to trick Sang Buaya or crocodiles. But from the Sang Buaya's point of view, they all feel very excited because Sang Kancil said that there is a very rich lord want to invite them to a party, eating party. So they need to count every person, every crocodiles in the river. So they're lying down. They feel really interested, really excited, but they didn't realize actually Sang Kancil cheat on them. So that's kind of tales really interesting. Give many mental state linked words actually. Interesting.
Super, thanks very much for that example, Esai. That was really interesting. I think you'll, I hope that you'll look at stories in a different way after hearing this webinar. Okay, we have a free resource to share with you. This is our last free resource for the webinar series, and it's one that you're going to be able to use to help to develop this skill. JC, can you tell us how we could use this resource, please?
Sure. Barrier game is one of my favorite activity. You can use barrier game because it provides a chance to practice information sharing in a meaningful context. And for this resource, you need to print out 2 copies of it. Put a barrier between you and your child. And now both of you cannot see each other's houses. The goal is to match the houses at the end of the game. You can start by placing a family member, the little people, in a room of the house, and then tell your child that who to pick and where to put. Then you switch roles. To work on theory of mind, you can say, Mommy don't know where you put the little girl because I can't see it. And from time to time, your child might need to be reminded or to be prompted not to look at your house and to use words to tell or ask questions if they are not sure. It's a fun way to practice on this skill. Back to you.
Super, great ideas. Yeah, it is a fun way, and you've really inspired us to use that. Okay, now I'd like you quickly to tell me if you've got any ideas of games that you can think of that would help children to understand this concept of who knows what. It is a really important part of theory of mind. So does anybody else have other ideas for games that help to develop that skill? Type into the chat if you do. LV, what can we see?
We can't see any responses yet.
Oh, not yet? We're getting to the end of our webinar. Everybody's getting hungry, perhaps.
Okay, I can see one. It's from Mr. Esai. It says, take out picture from a bag. And then JC said mystery box.
So hiding something within a bag or a box is a great way of working on this. Because we know what's in that bag, but the child doesn't. So maybe we're hiding it in here and then we show it to the child, but not to the mother. So then I know what's in there and the child knows what's in there, but the mother doesn't. Those are great ideas. Thank you for working on this skill. Now, our very last free resource is a great one. This is a whole book about developing theory of mind, and it's called Thinking Together to Mind the Gap. It's a free download that you can find on our website. There's a link there that has all of our rehabilitation downloads on it. But if you've registered for this webinar, you will receive this resource in an email. So it's a 64-page book all about the things we've talked about today. It's got an extensive literature review, there's descriptions of theory of mind, tables of typical development, and lots of ways to encourage theory of mind development. So I hope that you'll enjoy reading that and get lots more ideas of how to work on theory of mind. And there are our references for today. If there's any other information that you're looking for, please be in touch with us. Now, as always, we would love to hear from you. So here are our email addresses for Malaysia, for Singapore, and for Indonesia. So we're really hoping that you'll be in touch with us, maybe with a success that you've had in developing theory of mind, or if you have any concerns about particular children that you're working with, you're very, very welcome also to be in touch with us. Okay. So that brings us to the end of our 4-webinar series, Talking Together. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. I really enjoyed learning more about reading, and then learning a lot about behaviour management with Pip was great last week. And today, as Rebecca said, one of our favourite topics is always developing theory of mind. So we want to thank you very, very much for joining us through the webinar series. It's been great to have you all with us and to have such wonderful active participation in the chat when we've asked you to. We'd like you to stay in touch with us across the next few weeks. Please watch out. We're going to be delivering some more webinars with some great guest speakers next year. So we really want to make sure that you keep in touch, keep an eye out on all the places you can find out about Here Life Malaysia and Medel Malaysia, because there's lots more exciting coming up next year. I'd like to say a huge thank you to our team in Malaysia. The team have made it really, really easy for Rebecca and I to deliver these webinars. Thank you so much, guys. We do miss coming to Malaysia to be with you in person. We hope that will happen soon, but thank you so much to all of you for all the work that you've done for us and for all of your contributions in the webinars. And some lovely comments coming through on chat. Thank you. So I'm going to hand over now to Mr. Wu, who's our country manager for Malaysia, to give us the last words. Thanks, Mr. Wu.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to see everyone here today. Yeah, I think some of you might know me personally, but for those who are not, my name is Wu. I'm the country manager for Medel Malaysia. Can you see me, by the way? Yeah. So actually, I've been with Medel for more than 10 years now, but one thing that I always like to mention and be proud of is that Medel has always in the forefront of giving the rehab support for parents, for therapists, and also for educators. And like this webinar is one of the series of many webinars that we have in the year 2020. And of course, like what Donna has mentioned, we are not going to stop here. We have planned for some more webinar for you to join in the next year. So we will inform all of you about it in the year to come. So I hope all of you would enjoy your day, and since now it's December, for those who are going off for holiday, enjoy your holiday. Happy holiday. Thanks again, everyone. Yeah. Bye. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.